We returned to our Winnebago after the battle had been won. What a chaotic, hot mess we walked into. Grilla was certainly a complex walking being of both self-destruction and destruction to those around her. Some people would come after me for shaming, but it is not her sex life I was bothered by. It was the fact that this witch did not know the concept of body positivity or being loved by her family, that the world did not accept her, so she gets destroyed instead. She manipulated those children into loving her and doing her bidding, and it was the issue we discussed amongst ourselves in our journey homeward.
That bitch smelled worse than me. It really says something.
We can drop you off at our place to shower if you want, Maggie offered from the driver's seat.
Really? You guys would really do that?
You kicked ass. You gave him what for. Guys, I learned a lesson from that witch. Please do tell, dear boy. I learned that just because a handful of people have hurt me over the years, it does not mean that everyone else would do it too. It was selfish and unfair of me to make invisible barriers and, be closed off from anyone who wants to befriend me or...
He paused, glancing to Leslie.
Be my lover either.
Leslie blushed and covered his face by his hands in a demure manner and said,
Aww, shucks. Really, I mean it. I appreciate all the talks you gave me to pull my head out of my ass, Les.
Ben said with a warm smile, hugging him close.
You was doing that for me, Tots. And, well, that I should stop being a diva and social influencer to get attention and all that. The Lord did that to me too. I learned so much from you both, and here I am being a fairy and kicking ass doing it.
My face became mildly warm while I smiled and said softly, Thank you.
That witch of a bitch also taught me a lesson. That was more ugly inside than being actually pretty, and it was people like all of you that made me feel beautiful. It's like a present that doesn't come in some sort of, in a fancy package, but, doesn't not want a refund for anything.
Leslie said while sniffling. Ben kissed Leslie upon the forehead while they both shared their happy tears together. Arthur took that moment of focusing upon the couple to lift me into his lap and said,
And you have proven yourself worthy to be a shrine, my dear. You have showed courage and an iron will that has struck a fire in my heart. You have done so without acquiring family practices or having your grandfather oversee your virtue. That is what I consider to be a noble warrior and displaying their true strength. You have conquered the enemy with more compassion than brute force.
So what you are saying is that I killed her with kindness?
Indeed you have. Just as you have conquered my vices in such a manner.
He said softly. His words compelled me to kiss him upon the lips briefly and said, That is for giving me something to strive for, and being one of the people to beat my own depression monster to the ground. The heartwarming moments were suddenly interrupted by Grilla materializing into the trailer, standing shamefully in her tattered clothing. We recoiled and about to draw our weapons, but she raised her arms, with the palms outward, into a halting gesture, to say the following. Hear me out. I had done some shitty things with my magic, and I thought that doing what I wanted and being a hero would make me happy. I did not know that being like this would get me in trouble, or that I am causing my own pain at the same time. What I'm trying to say is, I understand what all of you represent. Thanks for giving me a wake-up call. I began to clap softly, and soon the others joined the applause. So I want to be a Santa witch instead, she said with a smile.
Yeah. So, sort of like Bavania? You don't know about it? Well, anyway, she's a witch like Santa and flies on a broom to drop off gifts to kids. Leaving also coal for your beds. My grandma told me about their stories about that when I was little.
I will be doing that tonight, I promise, Grilla said, and she dematerialized before our eyes as swiftly as she arrived. When we returned home, the four of us decided to do a sleepover celebration party at my apartment. The party consisted of us having traditional food and drinks at a dining table that had been moved into the living room while we watched holiday movies together. It was fun to watch the old classics and do our zombie-themed carols, and we decided to put our gifts under the tree. Leslie brought over sleeping bags for Bennett and himself to share, while Arthur and I cuddled under our bedspread upon the couch. My phone rang, and I had to answer it since it was my grandfather calling. "What do you want?" I asked coldly.
Put me on speakerphone. I got something to say. Towards the eve before Yule, and there had been a cold night, with one old clogger and one gem of light. The older was a fool and spoke out of his ass, while the kid was strong and gave her sass. From out of the sky came down an owl, who sent me flying out with a scowl. He saw his gem shine bright on her own, proving his points were broken and blown. Child, do not be cold, and to me ignore. Please give me forgiveness, Lenore.
My eyes softened with tears, and I said, "I forgive you, Grandpa."
Thank you. I will be there in the morning, sunshine. Let's make it an actual family thing. So, will your Aunt Trudy?
He said, then ended the call.
You know, you should accept it. He was being an old-fashioned idiot. Yeah, I say give him a chance, Toots. It appears that Sylvester had learned his lesson, to which you must not be bitter either, my dear.
I guess I have to learn to forgive and forget, right? I asked. They each said yes in unison, and we chuckled. We then turned off the lights and said goodnight to each other. The next morning was a typical Christmas morning, and we had our breakfast that consisted of authentically made pancakes, cooked by Arthur and I assisted in cooking the bacon on the stove. From there, we had done our gift exchanges. Ben had been given blue silky lace panties by Leslie, a self-help book by Arthur, and a fuzzy neon green Frankenstein monster hat by me. He seemed to be embarrassed by the gifts, but mumbled out a thank you to each gift. Leslie had been given a cologne by Ben, a simple pair of sunglasses by Arthur, and a pink umbrella with fairies on it by me. To which our pixie strutted about the living room with his sunglasses and umbrella in a diva fashion. It was strangely adorable. Arthur had been given a blue wizard hat covered in gold stars by Leslie, an ink fountain pen by Ben, and a pocket watch I bought online. He had seemed amused by the hat and felt honored by the later gifts. The gifts I had received consisted of a flowered hairband that had pastel purple roses and spikes on it, a black hoodie with white wings on the back by Ben, and a golden locket in the shape of a heart from Arthur. I was overjoyed and wished to wear these gifts proudly, hugging each of them in gratitude. We heard light knocks on the door, and Ben opened to allow my grandfather and aunt inside.
We got up on the wrong foot, and I did not expect you to fight on your own like that,
Aunt Trudy said slowly while being ashamed.
It was wrong to make excuses, and we should have put your thoughts into consideration. So, we're going to take you out to a fancy diner, and you can meet the rest of your family. This is the first step to you becoming a trained angel of sorts. Ben is to come with us as we see him stepping off his dark path. Okay, kiddo?
What?
You helped her out. And admit it, she is a bit of a good influence on you. So, would you give us a chance?
I would love to. And fine, maybe she is a bit of a good influence on me.
From that acceptance, we have each hugged Ben, while he had shed more tears of deep happiness, and stammered,
Thank you again for seeing I'm not all that evil.
Could, maybe the rest of us come with?
I would love to meet the rest of the Stein clan.
Fine, since you're all so close with her.
I have never met the rest of my family before, and my curiosity got triggered to learn more family secrets. But that'll be done in the next part of this fairy tale-like saga. These past events had given a new perspective on the value of family, that one does not have to be physically related to you to count as family. They just have to act the part of what it should be. It is what Ben and Leslie showed me through their support, as had Maggie had done with them. I wonder if Freddie had learned that lesson too. Who knows? However, love of any kind could happen to you when you least expect it, in the most unconditional ways. Be they friendly, familial, or romantic, it just happens to discern who should be in your life and who should not. Since Yule is about the longest night of darkness, before the light becomes strong again, I'm ready to face this new metaphorical rebirth, and I hope Ben does such a thing with me, like the sibling I never had but wanted. Happy Yule to all who read these entries. May you live your life fully. May you leave your darkness behind and embrace what gives you light.